Hello garden friends. I'm out here by the pond garden. It's just below here, and I have a big reveal today. We've done so much work on the pond garden in the last month, and it looks completely different. If you remember, about a month ago, I did an update on the pond, and it was in a kind of a sad state, covered in weeds, and I was pretty depressed about the whole situation because I had too many projects going and just hadn't been able to do any work on the pond, or enough work on the pond to keep the project moving forward. Well, we doubled down on our efforts and did a lot of work in the last month, and the transformation is amazing, and I cannot wait to show you. First though, I just have to comment. Today it's cloudy and gray, and I honestly could not be happier. The last month has been constant sunshine and no rain, and we are now in a severe drought here in central New Hampshire. We've not had any appreciable rain for months, and I was getting to the point where I would wake up and see the sun coming through the window and be like, ah, another sunny day. I know people in California are probably laughing at me, but this is New England. We don't have stretches of sunny days. It just doesn't happen. So the fact that it is cloudy and going to rain imminently makes me so happy. Let's get to the big reveal of the pond, and I'm so excited to show you. Let's go. Here we are at the entrance of the pond garden, and as you can see, it looks completely different than the weed-infested patch of dirt around this pond. Let me take you on a little tour and show you what we've done. We've installed most of the pathways around the pond. We do have a little bit of work to do here. Not quite sure where exactly the opening is going to be in relation to the end of this wall, and swing over here, the end of that wall. We have some weeding to do in this section here, but this will become planted beds right out to here. And then this path will be sort of faded out into this driveway into the pasture. So that still has to be worked on, but right now we've got these pathways, which are, I believe it's 3/8 inch ledge packed into these borders. And then we've developed beds in various spots around the pond. So let's see, let's go this way. We'll start here, and we're going to walk to the first big bridge here, and we're just going to pan over the pond. As you can see, we've got quite a bit of vegetation going on in the pond. The frog bit has taken over this side of the pond, which is totally fine. We like water coverage with plants, and the frogs, speaking of frogs, the frogs really like it too. Hey, Froggy. Also have a water lily here, which yesterday was open. Today it's decided not to open. Some water hyacinth, which will die in the winter. It's not going to last all winter. And then I've got some native irises across the pond there growing on the ledge. The water has been very clear, so I think I've got enough plant material in the pond to keep the water clear. So I'm very excited about that. All right, back to the bridge. Here's the culvert. It is completely finished with rocks on both sides. Swing over here. And I handled every single one of these darn rocks. So many rocks. But yeah, so overflow water will flow out here into the culvert and across the way into the orchard. And now it's all covered in rocks and hopefully will remain weed-free. So we'll come back around here, and this is one of the first big planting beds. We've got soil, loam, and then big piles of compost that I have yet to spread, but I will eventually. There we go. And we come around and another planting bed, you can see. And we come up to the first of the several drainage rills that I had to dig this spring to drain water out of the various holes in this wall, the springs that pop up in the spring. And so this is now finished, covered in gravel, lined with rocks, and it will direct water right into the pond. I did have to install a little rock bridge, but fortunately we have plenty of rocks. Come back around, and here is the big Lion King rock. Come over here and you can see why. Sticks out over the pond. Good place to sit and meditate. And we have some rocks that will lead you to the pond. To the Lion King rock. And both sides of this will be planted as well. There's our power supply, and the little aerator pump is hiding under this fake rock. I'm going to talk about the plantings in a little bit. I just want to go through all the pathways and show you the beds. Here I've got the beginnings of what will be a probably stepping stone pathway that will lead you to the stairs in the back there that will take you out of the garden. So eventually there will be stepping stones leading you to and from the stairs. But that's a future project. And then we come back over another stone bridge, and that this drainage area leads into the bog, which let's take a diversion into the bog. So the bog, the drainage channel here is lined with gravel, and then we transition into larger stones. And yes, every single one of these stones had my hand on it. Yeah, lots of rocks. So this bog area is a little bit sunken below the level of the channel, which will allow the water to build up here and sit as a bog does, and eventually drain. If it builds up enough, it will drain this way toward the pond. We built up a bunch of rocks here in the corner, and there is actually rubber liner under these rocks. The plan is, pan up here, it's our carport. We are about to get gutters installed on the carport and the addition of our house here, and they will eventually all end up here on this corner, and then the drain pipe will come down into this little corner here. And so every time we get a heavy rain, all of the water off of those two roofs will be directed here into the bog. Eventually, I will probably set up rain barrels on that corner, but for now, It's all going to go into this bog area and come down into here and help supply the bog. Now I've got a couple plantings going here. These were here, I believe, last time. I got some blue flag iris, cattails, and equisetum, and they're all doing well. These started out this year as like 3 little tiny sprigs, and they've already spread all the way over to here. Same with the cattails. They've multiplied already from, I think, 3 or 4 little pieces. And then the flag irises have also expanded quite a bit. All right, we'll go back up the drainage channel, which goes under the bridge and into the pond. And back on the bridge, back on the pathway. And again, here's planting bed. Mr. Frog, who I have not named yet, but I will give him a name soon, has moved out here. We actually have a very, very large boulder underneath Mr. Frog, like underneath the boulder Mr. Frog is sitting on, that we could not get out. And it's stuck partially up above the ground. So rather than continue to wrestle with it, we just decided to cover it with another rock and make it a platform for Mr. Frog to sit here and welcome people into the garden. I love this rock because it's got these veins of quartz and mica running through it. It's just stunning in the sunlight. Today it's not going to reflect as much because of the clouds, but it's stunning. So I thought it deserved a place out in the open where we could admire it as we come into the garden. So here, as we get into this corner, we have another large planting bed, piles of compost. And then in this corner here, where the foundation juts out, we're going to be building a little patio area. This is just sort of the preliminary foundation. It's a larger ledge pack. We'll put some granite stone dust on top, and then pavers of some sort. That has not been determined yet. Some natural stone, I believe. That's what I've got going in my head. We'll see. That'll be a spring project. Want to let this all settle first, and then come back in the spring and do the final top layer of material and then the pavers and get that settled. But this will have maybe a table and chairs, someplace to sit and relax and watch things going on in the pond. All right, so the trail comes back around and out. When I envisioned this pond garden in its completed state, I had in my mind that I wanted to make it sort of like a little secret garden where you didn't see it in its entirety right away as you came down from the house. So I'm going to walk backwards up here, up the driveway, just to give a demo of what I'm thinking. What I'd like to do is plant something here and along here so that as you walk down, you don't immediately see the pond. It's not immediately revealed to you. The other purpose of that as well is to keep deer out of here as much as possible. We've got a lot of plantings, or will have a lot of plantings in here, and I don't want them in here browsing. So if I can discourage them from coming in by a physical barrier, that would be ideal. So along here there would be something planted, some sort of hedge that would probably be, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet tall, so that you wouldn't immediately see the pond as you come in. And the same over here. And then on this side here, not not have access to the pond on this end, and so block this off with some sort of hedging material as well. We'll see how that develops. That's definitely a spring project, not something that we're going to be doing this year. All right, so let's get into the good stuff, the plantings. I know that's what you all are waiting to find out about. Most of these plants were purchased from my local nursery back in May, June timeframe, and they sat for most of the summer up there on the greenhouse pad and struggled, poor things. I did my best, but now they are all installed in the pond garden. This set of plantings is the extent of what I'm going to do this year. I'm not going to do any more planting other than perhaps some Siberian irises if I get around to digging those out of the perennial garden. Bring those in here, but that's it. Next year, next spring, the rest of this will be planted over the course of a few months or so, once I figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of the space. But for now, we've got some interesting things in here. Now, I tried to pick things that were adapted to wet soils, which this will be in the spring. Also somewhat native, even if not an actual native species, maybe a variety of a native species. So tried to give pollinators and birds a lot of reason to come in here and check out what we've got. So first up in this corner next to the patio, I've got a Sugartina crystallina summer sweet. This has white blossoms loaded with bees. Next to it, I've got a native buttonbush, and this I bought actually from the State Tree Nursery. I have a bunch of these. I put a couple in this garden. This again is also a pollinator magnet. And then this is a short-toothed mountain mint. And it may still have some pollinators on it. It's still got some flowers. But this will spread into a big mass and just be loaded with bees. Should be fun to see. It's already spreading. It's only been in the ground a couple of weeks and it's already spreading. So I'm pretty excited about that. I already talked about these bog plants. This, I've been so excited about this, to get this in the garden, and I'm hoping it'll green up a little bit next year. It's still recovering from being on the greenhouse pad all summer. But this is a weeping pussy willow. I saw this at my local nursery. They had 3 of them, I believe, at the time. And I knew if I didn't buy one right away, it wouldn't be available. So I snagged it, and I'm so excited to have it here. And it complements, let me swing around, the Weeping Young's birch, or Young's Weeping Birch. I'll put the name on the screen, that I have here next to the pond. So we have some weeping effects near the water. So this is near the bog, and in the spring the water will be flowing. And there's also the drainage rill behind it. Come back in here. This drainage rill that I have yet to really finish, that will also be flowing in the spring. So the weeping form here really echoes that water movement, I think. So let's go back to the bridge here and come around here. I've got, and these are probably going to move. I grew these from seed. This is ironweed. And I should note, you'll notice with a lot of these plants, they're looking kind of rough. It is third week of September here in New Hampshire, and everything is going into dormant mode. Leaves are changing, so all of these plants are shutting down. So they're kind of in their fall mode right now. So this is a patch of ironweed that I grew from seed. Again, a great native, likes wet soils. We'll follow this little path here. Another little patch of ironweed. Again, I may move these. We'll see how my planting develops next spring. But these are easy to pop out of the ground and move. Over here by the stairs, I have a dwarf blue leaf Arctic willow, keeping with the willow theme since this area will be very damp in the spring. Cute little thing. It won't get too tall, 3-4 feet tall maybe, and it will maintain sort of this nice rounded shape. Next to it, I've got a clump of swamp milkweed. Gets very tall. You can see it's probably 4 feet tall there. Looking pretty sad at this point, but again, it's late September, so yeah, everything's looking pretty rough right now. It will look better in the spring, I promise. Alongside it, and you can actually see there's a little channel there because we know water comes out of that crack in the spring. Along this drainage rill, I've got 3 large Joe Pye weed. And I believe this is Gateway Joe Pye weed. Planted here. This will form a nice mass. And then in the spring, I'm going to get some grasses and put them in here as well. Some that are a little more water tolerant. We'll see. I'll have to do some research there. So this will be sort of a lush, like swishing mass of blooms and grasses that I think will be really pretty up against this gray wall. It will also help disguise the electric cable that is coming down the wall there, that is buried to the electric supply over there. Let me come back up here. I planted 3 ivory halo dogwoods to brighten up this area a little bit. Dogwoods can tolerate a little bit of moisture, so they don't mind being in this spot. This main area here, I haven't fully decided yet, but I'll probably put a small tree in here. Maybe a weeping form, haven't decided yet. That's going to be something I'll decide on in the spring. In the meantime, I threw a couple of things in here that I know I will be moving, but when I wanted to plant all of the stuff out, I just needed to get these guys in the ground. I actually want to move them to that bed next year, but wrong time to be transplanting grasses, so I just stuck it in here. This is a Ruby Ribbons switchgrass. It's gorgeous. And when these seed heads these blossoms first come out, they're a beautiful shade of like burgundy. They faded a little bit to tan, but I can't wait to have more of this stuff in the garden. It's a beautiful grass. Next to it is a swamp verbena. I'll put the name down below. I'll put the actual names of all these things below as I describe them, so you can see the variety name. But this is swamp verbena, grows very tall. And again, with the switchgrass here, I'd actually envisioned both of those over in this area here up against the wall. So those will get moved in the spring. But for now, here they sit. These have beautiful purple, lavendery purple flowers later in the season. The bees and butterflies were all over this when it was up on the greenhouse pad. So looking forward to having a lot more of this in the garden. Moving into the corner of this pond garden area, I've got a few shrubs. Now my thought for this corner here is I wanted to have taller things, but plants that weren't too tall. This wall here is probably 7, 8, maybe 8 feet tall at best. And it sits right next to the greenhouse. So I didn't want to put a big tree in here that would grow up and eventually shade the greenhouse and completely obstruct the view of the wall. So I picked shrubs that, will grow a little bit taller, add a lot of interest in terms of leaf shape and potential berries and flowers. So hopefully this will develop into something really interesting. Right here I've got a ruby, oh shoot, what is this called? Ruby something. Ruby Spice? Ruby Spice Summer Sweet right here. Looking a little rough on the bottom, but I have no doubt it will recover next year. This one is a sage leaf willow, and again, right next to what will be one of the spots where the springs come out of the wall next year. It just seeps out of the wall right here, and we'll go down the rill. So the willow can handle the wet. Here we've got a high bush cranberry. This will grow probably like 8 feet tall, and it will have these really interesting red berries for the birds. That's actually the first time I've seen those berries. Exciting. Panning over here, this, another one of those plants that I saw, and like the weeping pussy willow. I'm a sucker for pussy willows, I really am. This is a black cat pussy willow. So the little catkins that come in the spring are going to be black. I can't wait to see them. And again, it's a willow, so it can handle this, you know, when this floods and is completely soaking wet, it'll be happy. Another little button bush seedling there. And then behind it, a spice bush, native spice bush. Can't wait to see that in flower next year. Let me back up here, past the swamp verbena, come back out to the pathway. Kind of see here. In this little corner here, we've got a Little Henry sweet spire. Is that right? Little Henry? Little Henry. Yeah, Little Henry sweet spire. It'll be covered with red blossoms, just like the Sugartina crystallina and the ruby spice over there. They all bloom about the same time, and again, loaded with pollinators. Another patch of ironweed, which will have beautiful purpley flowers, almost purple fuchsia flowers. And then another patch of swamp milkweed. Again, great for our butterflies and pollinators. And then over here, we just have these ferns were here in the wall, and there are a couple of spots where the ferns are growing out of the wall, and I'm just going to leave them for now. I think it's a nice touch, makes it look a little more natural, and we'll see where that evolves next year. Next year is going to be another big planting year here, hoping to get most of these beds planted out with at least, you know, the bones. The garden is never done in 1 year. It's always evolving, so it will take me a while, but hoping to get the majority of the planting in, as well as the rest of the hardscape, the patio, the little stone pathways to the patio and to the bog, as well as the stone path that goes from the main path up to the stairs. Get that in next year. I think this is probably enough for me to have done this year, since I have a couple of other projects that I want to get done. But yeah, I'm so thrilled with how this turned out. Well, that's the update from the pond. A lot of work has happened in the last month. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I'm really excited at how much progress we've been able to make in just a month. And I'm really looking forward to next spring when I can start to plant these beds up in earnest. Yeah. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've certainly enjoyed showing you my latest project. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that you're here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.